to the Liverpool FC Journal, guys. We are live this Monday morning with a slightly depressing Monday morning, isn't it? It really is, after a defeat at the weekend to Bournemouth. Another loss. Well, that was the first loss in a few, but look, it wasn't a great performance at all from Liverpool. It was a depressing game. It was just another shockingly bad performance from Liverpool. And, you know, as I said on the video this morning, some of the stats from that game, like 70% possession in the second half, but no big chances created, 0.48 XG. So many defensive calamities, so many defensive howlers. Look, we'll look back on the game as to start off with. We'll talk about the Arne Slot getting sacked rumours that were going around last night as well. I think there is obviously very little truth in those, unfortunately. We will talk about those. We'll talk a few bits and pieces of transfer gossip as well, with obviously news about there's a bit of bits and pieces on Curtis Jones this morning, Andy Robertson as well, of course. But obviously, if you've just found the channel, obviously please hit a sub on the video and help that channel to grow, and obviously like the content too, as we seek to grow this channel up and make it a big channel, guys. And look, the sooner we get to 1,000 subscribers, the better. The more we can do with the channel, and that's the aim of the channel. And look, I'll be very open and honest with you. My whole way of doing this is to include you. The way we work, or way I work, is quite simple. I work on the basis that, yes, I may be the one that sits here on a daily basis and does videos, but this is very much your channel as well. It's your channel, your chance to have your input onto this, your chance to kind of say, oops, wrong thing, your chance to say what it is that that you want to talk about. And when I do a podcast, I will always kind of do it from the aspect of, it's a conversation. It's your chance to have your say. It's your chance to give your views on how you think the club is going, or what you think needs changing, or what's going well. And I think there's an awful lot that's not going well at the moment, unfortunately, after last season. And I'll be honest, you look back on last season, and yes, last season was fantastic. Liverpool win the 20th league title. We celebrate that. It's obviously, since better than perhaps the 19th one where we were, we couldn't be there because of COVID. But I think this has been going wrong since March. I mean, let's get things in perspective. Since March, this has been going a little bit tits up, hasn't it? It's been going a little bit wrong for Liverpool since March last year. Never mind March this year, which isn't even here yet. Performances have not been great. I think you look back, and perhaps the last excellent, outstanding performance was the 5-1 win over Tottenham. And even towards the end of last season, there was a huge drop-off in the level of performance from Liverpool. There really was a massive drop-off. And, that was on Arne Slot, and that was on, I think, he'd rather be partying in Dubai than actually doing anything about making this team better and getting this team to play to a consistent level. And as I've said, a number of times, and I was absolutely slaughtered last season for saying this, told to calm down, etc., etc. You can't just turn excellence back on. Once you've kind of let standards slip, once you've kind of shown yourself to be a little bit weak on certain things, and you've kind of shown yourself to be a bit like, yeah, whatever, just get on. It doesn't matter. It is what it is, guys. Let's just have a party, have a good time. That kind of slips in it. And I think, to be honest with you, it's all part of the Dutch problem. And I'll be honest, Dutch coaches, for me, do not work in the UK. They just don't work in the UK. They struggle with the fitness side of it. They struggle with the discipline side of it. And I mean, look, you name me a Dutch coach that has worked. Yes, Arne Slot won the league last season, but as much as this may be argued by some within his fan group, that was Klopp's team. That was Klopp's tactics. That's what helped us to win that league last season. Arne Slot, yes, did one thing better than Jurgen, which was he kept players fitter for longer. Jurgen certainly suffered from burnout with a number of the players. I'll give him that. But, for me, this season he's torn up the squad. He's torn up the tactics, and like I said on the video this morning, he can sit and in presses and he can lie all he wants about, oh, I haven't changed anything. I haven't changed anything. I've changed nothing. He has. We know he has. He's changed the squad. Obviously, Diaz has gone, Trent's gone, which okay wasn't on him. But he has changed things, and it hasn't worked. He's brought his tactics in, his players in, and it genuinely has not worked. And we're seeing a club that is moving backwards. We're seeing players that lack confidence. I mean, we genuinely have some very, very good footballers in this team. There are some very good footballers in this team. And realistically, this team should not be doing anywhere near as badly as they are doing at this moment in time. There should not be even any chance that this team do this badly for this long. Because, at the end of the day, it is just down to poor coaching, poor tactics. When you sit there on Saturday and you watch that game, and then if you sit and you watch it back, and people, say, people have criticised Salah, people have criticised Van Dijk, and there's a group there's a vocal minority within our fan base who don't like any sort of criticism of any player, but. They say, well, you criticise Salah, but tell me a player who did perform. And to some degree, they're right. They're right. On Saturday, I would struggle to name you one player who actually played well, and that's on the manager. If you have a couple of players not playing well, and the rest of the team are doing okay, and you kind of lose because you only, you've got 2 or 3 players having an off day and they make mistakes and whatever. Yeah, that's the players. That's on the players, and that's on the players' lack of ability, lack of talent, lack of desire, lack of fitness, lack of form, lack of whatever it is. But when it's the whole team, and even the goalkeeper, even Alisson, I think should have done better on that 3rd goal. You look at it and you just say, I'm sorry, but that's on the manager. That is solely on the manager, head coach, whatever you want to call him. That's on him, because he's the one that sends them out there. He's the one that sets them up. He's the one that puts them, into the position to play to a certain style, a certain way. It's on him. It's not on anyone else. It's on him. And for me, on Saturday, that was solely on Slot. And it was just not good enough. Just not good enough in the slightest. It really wasn't. Looking into the game on Saturday, just sort of reacting to that game, let's have a little minor look back on that. And, don't particularly want to, because it wasn't good at all, was it? It was genuinely poor. We started okay. We dominated possession. We controlled the ball quite well. Created a few chances, But... And if Mo had a shit, was it in the first? Yeah, it was the first half. There was a chance where Mo Salah, I think, shows that there's something wrong with him this season in terms of the fact that he's way off it, that he is lacking in something. He gets the ball out wide right, and he's got a huge gap in front of him, a huge space in front of him. Now, last season, Mo Salah cuts in on his left foot, bends that ball towards the bottom corner, top corner, wherever, has a go at goal. But instead, he slows down, he stops, he waits, and then he tries to play a pass. I think it was to Cody Gakpo. It gets intercepted and cleared. And that, for me, showed that Mo Salah is either A, just lacking confidence, B, out of form, or C, has just reached that point where he's lost it. And I think there was a few incidences on Saturday where he goes at his man and he goes round him, but then he just can't get away from him anymore. He just can't leave him for dead. Mo Salah of old would have left the left back for dead and gone in on goal. But every time he went past him, the player comes back at him because Salah hasn't got the pace to get away anymore. And as I said, I wasn't trying to slag Mo off, but because the guy's a legend. He's obviously one of the top 5 players of all time at this club. Of course he is. He's probably the 4th or 5th greatest player ever for this club. But he just, to me, he seems to have lost a yard or yards, more than 1 yard. He just can't get away from anyone. And look, he is playing, he is starting, and people are saying, well, he's being picked because he's a good player. Yeah, he is a good player still, but he's not a great player anymore. And I think to some degree, he's kind of been picked because who else is there? What other option does Arne Slot have on that right-hand side? We know that the manager won't play Fede Chiesa because for whatever reason, he doesn't like Chiesa or he doesn't want to play Chiesa. He can't play Frimpong there now because Bradley's injured. You can't play Gomez at right back and push Frimpong up because Konate's not here, but now Gomez is injured. You know, he can't play Szoboszlai at right back consistently because that's taking massively out of the midfield, as we saw on Saturday when Szoboszlai went back to right back. You know, so he's kind of stuck with having to play Salah, even though he's not in form at all, and he's nowhere near Mo Salah, you know, of old. He really is struggling this season, and it's quite sad to see. It really is quite sad to see, if I'm being honest with you on this one. I mean, we'll look back at the goals against for a minute. I mean, the first goal against us on Saturday, you look at that first goal that we concede, and that is solely on Virgil van Dijk. And you really genuinely have to ask a question here. What the hell was Virgil van Dijk doing? I mean, genuinely, what was he doing? What was he actually doing? Because he just waves his leg at the ball. You know, he genuinely just waves his leg in the air at the ball. And it's incredible. You know, for such an amazingly high quality defender to do that is just mental. It genuinely is mental. I mean, the ball goes over the top and Van Dijk, he has 2 or 3 opportunities where he could actually get rid of the ball. And he could actually do something to stop that goal at source. But he doesn't do it. He just doesn't do it. I mean, it literally is. It's a long ball over the top. Van Dijk goes, covers Scott, waves his foot out, and then just stops. I mean, he genuinely, and he doesn't make any attempt to block it. He makes a half-arsed attempt to stop the cross. He kind of goes, and the ball comes back. And then Joe Gomez gets injured, obviously, with Alisson in that goal. And then Van Dijk turns round and has the nerve to blame Joe Gomez. I mean, honestly, you look at him and you just think, Virgil, fucking sort it out, mate. I mean, come on. First of all, rather than waving your foot out, either go to head it or put your boot through it, boot it out, give him a corner at least. I mean, at least we could defend the corner maybe. Then that block, you don't even make any attempt to block the cross. Like I said, you go back and watch it, guys. If you think I'm talking rubbish, go back and watch it. He makes such a half-arsed attempt to actually block that ball from coming into the box. It's quite embarrassing, the lack of effort he puts in to blocking that ball. It comes back, Evan Nielsen's there, slams it in the back of the net. Gomez bashes into Alisson, and then we've got injuries to both Alisson and Gomez. Now, obviously, Alisson stayed on. Gomez had to come off. And now it looks like Joey Gomez is going to be out. He'll probably miss the game against Karabag during the week. He may not even be fit for the Newcastle game at the weekend. So it looks like Endo may have to start at centre-half, which is not ideal. It really isn't ideal. The second goal, you watch the second goal back from Bournemouth. Again, you watch it and we are so passive in that moment. We are so passive. I don't know who it was. Was it Senesi or someone? Basically runs from halfway with the ball. He moves from halfway with the ball. No one goes to pick him up. No one goes to stop him. He threads the pass. Kirkes lets Jimenez run off the back of him. Virgil's playing everybody onside. And it's 2-0. It's shambolic. There's no aggression. There's no intent to go and stop it. You look at that moment where the pass is played by, and Kirkes is out of position. Van Dijk's playing everyone on, and there is zero attempt to go and close Senesi down. There is zero attempt to make him stop him from being able to play that ball. And you've got to ask, why is Van Dijk so far behind everyone in that instance? Why is he miles behind everybody? I don't know. He's not keeping up with play, and it ends up with a goal, and it's 2-0 down at that point. And it's just shambolic defending. And again, Virgil's blaming everyone else apart from himself for that mistake. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. It really genuinely is utterly embarrassing, the situation there. And obviously goes to Alisson's legs as well to finish it off. Look, the other, obviously, then we get one back with the corner, where the corner comes in, the first decent set-piece delivery in the game from us, and it ends up in the back of the net. And it's a Van Dijk header, so, fair play to Virgil. It's a good flicked header. It's only our second goal from a corner out of 130 corners 130, guys. 130. I mean, that is mental. That is mental. We've had 130 corners this season, and we've only managed to score 2 goals from them. Yeah, okay, we sacked the set-piece coach. Obviously, Aaron Briggs gets the sack, doesn't he? Which is fair enough. He gets the sack. But at the end of the day, it is just poor, that record. And, that is partly onslaught as well. He is the head coach at the end of the day. The buck stops with him when it comes to tactics, when it comes to set pieces, when it comes to everything. When you're the big boss, when you're the head coach, everything stops on you. You carry the buck for it. And, to have only scored in what is becoming an increasingly set-piece dominated league, and it is. And I said on the video this morning, the Premier League this season is crap. It's boring. It's shit. It's Arsenal will win it by default almost because they're the best at set pieces. They'll win the set piece league, and that's what this league has now become. It's become a set piece league. It's so bad, that record. And I'll be honest with you, there was so much in that first half that just depressed the living daylights out of me. The half-arsed nature of everything, the couldn't give a shit nature of a lot of the defending, an absolute couldn't give a bollocks look at it. And then, going back for a minute to the whole situation with Joey, with the goal, that gets conceded, the second goal, where we're down to 10 men because obviously Gomez has gone off injured. The manager's trying to get Endo on. The manager's shouting at the players, kick it out, so you can make the sub, get it out. Alisson, and you can see Alisson look at him and go, yeah, whatever, and just carry on playing. Now, I'm sorry, but if you actually feared the manager, if you had some respect for the manager, you put the ball out. You do as you're told, because you know that if you don't do as you're told, when you get back into the changing room half time, you're going to get a new one ripped for you. Which is obviously that there's no fear there. It's more indications to me that he's lost the dressing room. He completely has lost the dressing room. Now, take it back to Klopp. If Jurgen Klopp is standing on the sidelines yelling at Alisson, put the ball out, what does Alisson do? He puts the ball out. Or even if Alisson rolls it out and it goes to Van Dijk or to Grav, and they see Klopp on the sideline yelling, put it out. Put it out now, they're going to put it out because it's Jurgen Klopp. And they've got respect for him, they fear him, they know that if they don't do as they're told, they're going to get kicked. Turner turned to the truth, 9780 says, Conference League, here we come. Mate, it's a possibility. It's a genuine possibility. You look at the league table, mate, as it stands today, we're 6th place. We're equally as close to Fulham, Brentford, Sunderland, Newcastle as we are to the two above us, Manchester United and Chelsea. And you look at the situation with us being 10 points behind Aston Villa and Manchester City in 2nd and 3rd. Realistically, do you think that Manchester City and Aston Villa are going to slip up in 4 games and we're going to be perfect for the rest of the season to catch them? It's not going to happen. And as I said, we lose to Newcastle on Saturday. And there's a very real possibility, if we were to lose to Newcastle on Saturday, that we could end up, even lower in this league table. Let's just take the doomsday scenario for a minute. And look, I'm taking it as a doomsday scenario. I realistically don't know what the other fixtures are for this weekend. But let's just take a doomsday scenario for a minute. Let's say, for example, we do lose on Saturday to Newcastle, and Fulham win, Brentford win, and Sunderland win. Then realistically we could be as low as 10th. If Everton win, they would be only a point behind us. Everton have actually got a game in hand on us, and if they win their game in hand, they're a point behind us. They win on Saturday, they go above us. We could be as low as 10th or 11th if we lose to them on Saturday, to Newcastle on Saturday. And that's doomsday scenario. That's the worst possible situation, the worst possible case scenario. But realistically, could it happen? I think it's an absolute embarrassment that we're sitting here as Liverpool fans talking about losing games, worrying about losing games at Anfield, because we've got no confidence in the head coach. We've got no confidence in the team that they're actually going to go out there and make a good account of themselves. It's actually quite embarrassing. It really is quite embarrassing. and we are ahead of Newcastle with 3 points now. Yeah, we are turned to the truth. We are 3 ahead of Newcastle. And they catch up with us easily. I mean, it's very, very embarrassing to be at this position. And, as I showed on the video this morning, which would not been good enough for a top 4 finish in any season since 3 points for a win was introduced in 1981-1982. Add on to that, and this was all in the video this morning, Liverpool hold the record for the lowest points total for any side ever to finish in the Premier League's top 4 with 60 points in 2003-2004. But even then, we had an average of 1.58 points per game. So it really is not good enough. It really is of a standard now that is so bad, so poor. And it is worrying. It is very, very worrying. Thanks for raising that point, Turn to the Truth. I mean, just going back to the goals, obviously then Szoboszlai gets a fantastic free kick to equalise. And it goes to 2-2. And at that point, there should only be one winner. We've come back from 2-0 down. We've got the momentum. We're moving in the right direction. We are, we're dominating possession. But who comes out and plays more attacking? Who comes out and has more of a go in that second half? It's in the rest of the second half. It's Bournemouth. You get the shot that Alisson tips over the bar to give away the corner. I mean, fantastic save from Alisson, don't get me wrong. 84th minute then, I think it's Evan Nielsen. Is it Evan Nielsen? He should score. He's put through 1-on-1. The ball goes wide. He really should score to make it 3-2. They're creating all the chances. They're creating all the opportunities at that point in time. They really genuinely are. I mean, Florian Wirtz has that shot and he gets tipped around the post by Petrovic. I mean, that is a good little bit of play and it's a good shot by Petrovic. But still, it's them that creates everything. And then they get the goal in the 95th minute. And it's shambolic defending. It's absolutely shambolic defending from Liverpool. It really is. And Adley gets the goal. Now, look, fair play to Bournemouth. They deserve the win. They deserve to win the game. And then Virgil, what does Virgil do? He runs out. He's yelling at the referee. He's remonstrating with the referee. He's going on. He was fouled. I was fouled. I was fouled. Yet he doesn't realise that he actually fell over his own player's leg. If you go back and watch it, it's Curtis Jones' leg that he falls over. It's not a Bournemouth player shoving him. Arne Slot's giving it. He's been pushed. He's been pushed. He hasn't. Go back and watch it. He falls over his own player's leg. Then he has he's so embarrassed that he then goes back and tries to blame everyone else but himself for that third goal. Now, yes, going back to that third goal for a minute, you've got the embarrassment, obviously, of Virgil van Dijk blaming everybody else apart from himself. He tries to go out and attack that ball when he realistically should stay put. And Alisson probably should do better and save it. It goes through Alisson. Alisson grabs it, doesn't hold on to it, and then it goes under his arm into the back of the net. Now, yes, realistically, of course, it should never have got to the point where that ball ends up in the back of the net. But it does, and we lose. And it's diabolical. It's diabolical. Defending, it's diabolical. Goalkeeping, it's just dire, full stop. And yes, some of that's on the manager. Some of that is on the manager and some of that's on the players. But I think the vast majority of it for me goes on to the manager. He's the one that sends them out. He's the one that puts them out there. He's the one that, puts them in that position to lose that game. He's the one that sets the tactics. He's the one that gives the players the instructions to go out there and sets them up. So for me, it's on him. It's not on anyone else but him. So I'll be honest with you. Do I blame the players to some extent? But mostly I blame the manager. Really do. Mostly blame the manager for that one. And look, at the end of the day, we've said it before. Slot has to go. Slot does have to go for this. And it's not just this, is it? It's not just Bournemouth on Saturday. It's not just that defeat to Bournemouth on Saturday that is so bad, And what was the other thing I picked up as well? And I think this is a big thing. And this is not just Bournemouth, the Bournemouth game. This is a number of games. The walking. What is it with the walking? Why are we walking with the ball so much? Why are we not moving it with some speed, some aggression, some dynamism, some intensity? Why are we constantly just walking with the ball? I genuinely don't get it. Why are we just walking with the ball? You know, we are. If you watch in the second half, especially, there's so many examples where Liverpool players are wandering around with the ball at their feet, and then they pass it to someone else who's wandering around with the ball at their feet. Then they pass it to someone who's wandering around with the ball at their feet. And it is just absolutely bollocks. Just absolutely rubbish football. And as I said on the video this morning, you know, I was on TikTok the other day, and there was I think it might have been Birmingham City fans criticising their own team, and they were singing sideways and backwards everywhere we go, sideways and backwards everywhere we go. Liverpool fans could sing that. We really could sing that, because if you look at the football that Slot plays, it is sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards, sideways, backwards. It's what's called horseshoe football. It's what's called horseshoe football. And the reason it's called horseshoe football is this. If you watch, they go up the wing, they get stopped, so they come back, they go round up the other side, they stop, they come back, they come round up the other side. It's horseshoe football. That's what it is. It's boring. It doesn't work. It happens. It's in the Dutch league. That's how they play. Okay, it's Dutch football. It's slot ball, and the sole intention is to keep the ball under no circumstances must you go at anyone with speed. Must you take a risk with your pass? Must you take a risk with your shot? You know, and there were so many examples as well throughout the game on Saturday where if Liverpool players take a shot from distance or from just outside the area, we probably work the goalkeeper at minimum. But we don't, because we're too scared of losing the ball, because the intention is hold the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. When Liverpool go out to play on any match, the intention is not to win the game. It isn't. It's to not get beat. And people might say that's stupid. How can you say that? Because there's a clear definition between attacking football and defensive football. There's a clear definition between going out and trying to win a game and going out and trying not to get beat in a game. And you can look at the two classic examples. Look at Klopp, look at Mourinho. A Klopp team goes out with the sole intention of attack, keep attacking. Even when it's 4-0, 4-1, and it's in the 85th minute, it's still just attack, go for the opposition. Just keep going for the opposition, no matter what. If it's 4-1, why not make it 6-1? Why not make it 7-1? Just keep going for it. Whereas like a Mourinho team, which it was back in thing was they got 1-0 up, hold it. Just don't lose. Hold it. We hold what we've got. And Slot is very much like that. He's much more in Mourinho kind of style of management, where it is, let's not get beat. Let's hold the ball. Let's take our time with the ball. Let's slow the game down. Let's just not get beat. Let's just set up not to lose. And you can see that in the way we defend. If the opposition bring 3, we sit 4. If the opposition bring 5, we sit 6, which then limits the amount of options you've got to get forward. You don't believe me? Go away and watch the games. Go away and look at that. And we don't have those red arrows counter-attacks anymore because there's not enough players to counter-attack, because they're told basically they're not meant to. They need to sit back. They need to keep it tight. They need to not obviously put in a position that if they do lose the ball when counter-attacking, they're not going to be outnumbered coming back the other way. So the sole intention of a slot team is not to lose. It's not to get beat. It's to do everything you possibly can to make sure that we don't concede and that we don't get beat. And that's it. It's not to win the game in any kind of convincing way, style, shape, form. It's basically to make sure we don't lose. And that, unfortunately, is what we've got now. And I would love to understand and know what is going through Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards' minds and brains at that point in time. What is the situation with them? What are they honestly seeing that we are not seeing? What is it that they can see that we can't see? What are their thoughts? When they sit there and they think we've spent £420 million on this team. We've bought you Wirtz, we've bought you, I know Isak's not fit, we've bought you Frimpong, we've bought you Kirkes, and we're honestly seeing just nothing. Just nothing with these players. And like I said, I posed a question yesterday. I said, if this was Klopp's team and Klopp had these players, do you think they'd be sitting back playing boring football, possession-based, slowing it down? No, they wouldn't. They'd be going for the opposition, and they'd probably win 3-4-0 most games. But no, we're not. We're sitting sixth in the table this morning. We're behind Man United, we're behind Chelsea, we're behind Villa, behind Manchester City, behind Arsenal. It's disgusting. It's an absolute disgrace. And I'll be honest with you, this team should be up there with Arsenal. It should be. And it's down to poor coaching that we're not. Yes, we've had injuries. Yes, we've been unlucky with injuries. Yes, we should have signed Mark Gahey. And as much as it pains me to say that this man is right, Mark Goldbridge talking this morning said that Liverpool would be 5 to 10 points better off had we signed Gahey in the summer. Agreed. 100% agreed on that one. We would be 5 to 10 points better off. Yes, and still not enough to put us top of the league. But we certainly wouldn't be, I think, struggling to the degrees we are defensively if we had Mark Gahey. And I think there wouldn't be the need to play us defensively if we had Gahey at the back. And I don't want to re-debate the whole, should we have signed Mark Gahey? Shouldn't we have signed Mark Gahey? Should we have competed with Manchester City? Shouldn't we have competed with Manchester City? Argument, at the end of the day. The one thing I will say, though, is, the one thing I will definitely say to you is this. If we had, if we had signed Mark Gahey, then we'd look a lot more serious than we look now. And the question I'd ask is this. Manchester City were having a defensive crisis. They lost their defenders. They lost both their defenders, Diaz and Guardiola. What did they do? They went out and they signed a defender in Mark Gahey. They went out and they replaced what they'd lost. Did we do that? No. We're sitting here, there's about 7 days left of the transfer window, and literally there's nobody going to come in. No reinforcements coming in. Nobody's going to come in to support, to replace what's gone out. We're going to have to just get through to the end of the season with what we've got. Is that right? No, of course it isn't right. Of course it isn't right. But unfortunately, that's the situation we are in. That's where we live. That's where we're at. That's where we're going. So it is what it is, guys. It is what it is. It really genuinely is not good either. And that's the situation we currently find ourselves in. A position of just sheer depressing boredom and terrible football. Can I see it changing going forward? Realistically, not. Now, if we look at what's upcoming for Liverpool in the next few games, obviously Qarabag at home on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Do we beat Qarabag? Yeah, of course we beat We'll beat Qarabag. I mean, Qarabag are shit. They're not a good side. It's a game we'll win. It's a game we don't need to worry about. At the end of the day, we'll win that game. And realistically, what happens? What happens realistically? Realistically, we win on Wednesday and suddenly, all the slot in crowd, all the slot lovers will be like, oh, look at this, he's a great manager. Why are you all criticising him? Blah, blah, blah. After that, we've got Newcastle at home. That's 50-50 for me. It really shouldn't be 50-50. It really, really shouldn't be 50-50. It should be a win, a home win, because it's us and it's at Anfield. So, for me, it should realistically be an easy home win. But will it be? Who knows? Then it's Man City at home on Sunday the 8th of Feb. Look, I honestly think that the next 4 games will be the decision over Slot. I don't think Slot's going to be sacked this week. Even if we were to somehow miraculously lose to Qarabag on Wednesday, I don't think he gets sacked. I think even if we lose to Newcastle on Saturday at 8 o'clock, I don't think he gets sacked. I think even if we lose to Manchester City on Sunday the 8th, I don't think he gets sacked. I think if we go out of the FA Cup on the 14th, then I think there's a good chance he gets sacked. Realistically, I think he'll see out the next 2 to 3 Premier League games. Even if we come out of that 2 to 3 Premier League games with 1-2 points or 3 points from 3 draws, I still think he will be in a job. I think if we go out of the FA Cup, then we start having serious conversations about his future, because I think there is a growing belief within the club that that this is the only opportunity we've got to actually win something, is the FA Cup. I don't think we win the Champions League. I don't think we're strong enough to beat PSG. I don't think we're strong enough to beat Bayern Munich. I don't think we're strong enough to beat Arsenal in a one-off game. So I do think that realistically, I think with Manchester City in that, I'd put them into that. They'd be my 4 favourites for the Champions League. So, realistically, I think if we get knocked out of the FA Cup, then he is gone. I think he could well be gone at that point. He won't be sacked this week. There's literally no chance he gets sacked this week. I'd love to be proved wrong. I think it has to happen for me, but it's not going to happen. I don't think Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards have got the balls to sack him this week. So if we didn't have the Karabag game midweek, it may be more of a possibility, but I genuinely don't see it happening. I think things need to get a lot worse before he goes. As daft as that sounds, because things are bad. I mean, 44% win percentage in the league this year, which is just not good enough. We've won five games since September, in the league, which is just dreadful. For Liverpool Football Club, that is genuinely dreadful. That's worse than Roy Hodgson, for God's sake. It really is worse than Roy Hodgson. It is poor. It is really, really poor. So, for me, he has to go. He does need to go. And if he doesn't go, then look, you make the bed you lie in, don't you, at the end of the day? And if FSG decide that they're not going to sack Arne Slot, probably should sack Richard Hughes as well, but they're not going to sack Arne Slot, they've made that bed. And I think there's a real chance we miss out on the Champions League. If we miss out on the Champions League, we lose £50 million. Can the club afford to lose £50 million? That's the question. I don't think they can. It would majorly impact our summer transfer business if we were to lose out on Champions League football. It really genuinely would. Massively would for me. Massively would. So, look, things need to change. Things desperately need to change at the club. Either Slot needs to abandon these horrible tactics and try and get back to to Klopp tactics, or he needs to just go. Just go. I mean, that for me is the big thing. Right, if we were to transfer news this morning, guys. So obviously the good news that we've had is around Andy Robertson. That Andy Robertson will be staying at Liverpool at least until the end of the season. Now the talk was, of course, that Robbo would be moving on to Spurs in this window, which to me would be a mistake to let your vice captain and one of the most experienced players leave at a time when we've got a defensive injury crisis, when we've got we've only got one right back, we've only got one centre half at the moment. Why would you let a guy who can play centre half and left back leave? I don't get it. So, and a time when you need leaders on the park, why would you let Robbo leave? I think, to me, what's happened is the board and those in positions of power at the club have kind of looked at it and gone, shit, people ain't happy at this. If this happens and then it goes worse in the league, this is going to be something they're going to beat us with. So, no, I'm sorry. Now, look, I feel sorry for Andy. I really do. I'm sure Andy wants to play more regularly. Of course he does. He wants to play more regular first team football. Who doesn't? Any footballer worth his salt wants to play more regularly. But Andy, I think, has got to accept that he stays to the end of the season now, that he is going to be a Liverpool player at least until the end of the season. And we obviously go from there. But it's good news on the whole for me that Andy Robertson will stay at the club until the end of the season. And look, I think for Andy as well, to some degree, it's better. He will obviously have a situation where in the summer he can have his pick of his clubs. He's going to get the signing on fee. He's going to get the money from what would probably the large percentage of what would have been the transfer fee. So, that to me is. That to me is just, it's good news. It's good news. It's good news that he is going to stay. It really genuinely is good news that he is going to stay. Now, that obviously does beg the question about what was going to happen around Kostas Tsimikas. Now, a lot of the talk was that Kostas Tsimikas was going to come back once Robbo left. But there's now talk that Kostas will still be coming back. One of the Roma directors was talking this morning and said that basically their intention is to send Kostas Tsimikas back to Liverpool. That is what is being said. So, look, guys, let me know your thoughts on that one. I wonder why. I mean, look, yes, it adds another body, but not a body that we need, not a body that we should be bringing back. I'd personally prefer to bring back Harvey Elliott. That, for me, would be a much better move. But, of course, Arna keeps telling us, of course, that he's an Aston Villa player, which he isn't. He's a Liverpool player. We still own him. So he's still our player. And I think he would make a big difference. I think Liverpool should just cancel the loan agreement, cancel the fine that Aston Villa would have to play and bring him back and say to Arna, look, Arna, you're going to have to use him because we're obviously not going to sign anybody. So you need to, of course, bring him back. So that's the first one. Now, the other story that's going around at the moment is around Curtis Jones. Paul Joyce saying that Curtis Jones has been attracting interest from Spurs. That is one of the stories that is going around at this moment in time. Now, look, I don't know if there's any truth in this one at all, but this could be over the fact that a deal that Curtis Jones talks over Curtis Jones' new deal apparently are not going well. That the club and Curtis are a little bit far apart on what his true value is. That Curtis wants perhaps a little bit more than the club are prepared to offer at this point in time. Now, Curtis has become a bit of an essential part of this squad at this point in time. As a sub yesterday, I say on Saturday, but he is a player who has had a much more of a part to play this season. He's made 20 Premier League appearances for Liverpool this season. Now, Curtis is under contract at Anfield until, I think it's 2027, I think. It is. It's 2027. It's until next year. So he's got 18 months left on his deal. So again, we're talking this is the optimum time to be giving a player a new contract or telling a player that you don't want him anymore. So, for me, I would be trying to get Curtis tied down to a new deal, but it appears that the club and Curtis are not close on a deal as of yet, and this interest from Spurs could become more real. Now, look, again, this window is not the time to be allowing someone like Curtis to leave. It would be a very bad time for me to allow Curtis to leave because, again, it's weakening the team. Curtis can play a number of different positions. He can play as a 10, he can play as an 8, he can play as a right back, he can play as a winger. So to me, I would not be allowing Curtis to leave in this window. I think that would be an absolute joke for the regime at the top to allow him to go in this window. Summer, that could be a different matter, obviously, depending on where we finish, whether we're playing Champions League football or not, how the club wants to move forward, how the club wants to rebuild its squad to some degree, then I think that is a very different conversation, especially obviously given the stories around Adam Wharton being heavily linked with Liverpool at this moment in time, the Crystal Palace player. So, look, it is a story that I think that will run and run. Right, guys, that is it for this morning. Thank you for watching the LFC Journal. If you haven't caught it live, please try and catch them live and come and join in like Turned to the Truth 9780 did this morning with a comment H2K did, who said we are in crisis, slot must go. Agreed on that one. So please obviously come and join in with the conversation. Look out if you obviously want to join in the pods, which is going to be great if you can, because like I said, I do it as a conversation. I do get bored of talking after a while. So please obviously ring the bell, and then you're not going to miss out when we do go live. We are going to be live tomorrow afternoon, so please come and join us for that from 1:30. And we'll also have a constant, obviously, videos and updates as they come through the day. Right, guys, thank you for watching the LFC Journal. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you the next time here on this channel. So, guys, let's hope things start to improve very, very soon.